The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News is brought to you by Flow.
Tonight, the opposition leader says government has the power to reduce passport prices. The National Council on Public Transportation addresses errors in new bus fares. 2 schools broken into, and Minister for Education says enough is enough. And Guy Joseph tells government just where to look for missing St. Jude's supplies. The details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good evening. Today is Wednesday, the 13th of July, 2022. I am Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Welcome to another edition of the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We thank you for joining us either on Flow, Channel 117, KISS FM, the Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, the Caribbean Hot 7 TV Facebook page, or via Hot 7 TV Plug and Play. On Tuesday, Home Affairs Minister Virginia Albert Poyott responded to public reaction to a widely circulated flyer suggesting the rise in the price of passports. Poyott confirmed that the $250 price tag attached to the soon-to-be-implemented electronic passports, saying that it was established by a previous cabinet conclusion under the former administration and that the current day government is simply honoring that decision. However, in response to the minister's statement, former Prime Minister Alan Shastney asserts that the current regime possesses the ability to alter the price. Karim Nelson has that report.
It was confirmed by Home Affairs Minister Virginia Albert Poyott that the new e-passports will come at a cost of $250 to the St. Lucian public. Additionally, the minister noted that the new fee assigned to the electronic passports was as a result of a previous cabinet conclusion in January 2021. She explained that the $250 price was applied to offset production costs. Responding to the Home Affairs Minister's comments, former Prime Minister Alan Shastney, who was a part of the cabinet who approved the fee in 2021, says that it is the government of the day which decides what is to be implemented in country.
The Labour Party can't pick and choose what it wants to have. Right? Any new government that comes in can change anything. We've seen that. We had made a decision what we were going to do with St. Jude's. They have not followed it. We made a decision what we were going to do with HIA. They didn't do it. We'd made a decision what we were going to be doing with Rodney Bay Road and some of the other stuff. They didn't do it. So you can't come now and all of a sudden say whether we did or we didn't approve a rate.
Maintaining his posture, Shastney further asserts that the current regime was not tied by the chains of the cabinet conclusion and could have applied any price they deemed necessary.
It's for the government of the day to decide what the price is going to be. We, for years, have been subsidizing the price of passports. What a passport cost and what we were selling a passport for, we were losing money. That's a trend that the government can continue. It's up to them. The provider is not the one who's making that decision. It's the government who's making that decision. Right? And there are many ways you could mitigate as well. Is it a 10-year passport versus a 5-year passport? Because it means you have to buy a passport once every 10 years instead of having to get passport twice every 2 years. Those are policy decisions that the government has to make. And they could have changed those things whenever they wanted. When we came into government, we changed the VAT rate. Right? We reduced the taxes on driver's license and car registrations, vehicle registrations. Those are within the realm of any government to do. So that's farcical. That's just passing the buck without trying to justify.
The new e-passports are set to become available by the end of July 2022, yet concerns about the new price are still mounting amongst the general public, particularly during these times of economic hardship. Reporting for the Hot 7 TV News, I am Karim Nelson.
The increase in bus fares here in St. Lucia remains a contentious issue, with several commuters arguing that the increases are unjustifiable for certain routes. According to the president of the NCOPT, it has been recognized that certain routes reflect errors when it comes to the recently implemented bus fare increase. He says the ministry has been made aware of such and they are working to rectify the issue. As for the continued complaints, Ferdinand says members of the public simply have to get used to the new bus fares. We hear more from Genevieve Gonzague.
On July 4th, 2022, after much contention and debate, members of the public realized an increase in bus fares. Now, according to the stakeholders within the transportation sector, an increase in public transportation fares has been overdue for years. Following the implementation, there has, however, been an admission that there were errors in the prices on some routes. President of the National Council on Public Transportation, Godfrey Ferdinand, says these errors have been brought to the attention of the relevant authorities.
We've submitted the errors and the omissions to the government. We are hoping that the final publication and corrections would be done, and when that is done, it will be published. We are aware that some individuals are concerned because in some areas their fares are raised by 50 cents, some by $1. There are instances where previously the fare for the 2013 would have reflected some changes because some associations did not receive their just increase, I would say. So in some instances you would have individuals getting a 50 cents increase on a short route.
Given this acknowledgement, are all drivers accepting the increased prices?
All drivers are taking the increase. There are places where some drivers would realize that there is an error in terms of the price if it is more than what was requested by the association. 75% of the bus drivers would take the increase that they suggested and not what is printed. What we can say to individuals is we would like them to follow what is on the printed document stamped by the National Council and the Ministry. That would say that yes, we've looked at it, yes, we know there are errors, but we will correct it. Anything outside of the stamp of the Ministry says that the individuals maybe have tampered with the price increase.
Ferdinand says in the coming weeks, all errors would have been corrected. However, this begs the question, what will happen when some routes receive their corrected prices, one that is lower than what members of the public are currently paying?
I think it should be a give and take situation. We should have corrected it before it came on, but you're dealing with human are subject to error. And because we're dealing with human, we need to understand errors will happen. Let's just deal with that error in a human manner, not a manner that brings any form of confrontation. Most of these route associations are community-based route associations, and I think there could be a working relation and should be a working relation between the community and the route association.
Ferdinand says the council has registered the various complaints following the increase. However, members of the public need to be fair. By his account, this increase was a long time coming and the drivers were very patient for years. The 25 cents to $1 increase, he says, is the list that could have been given to the bus operators. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Over the weekend, 2 schools in Castries were hit by bandits. The issue of effective school security is once again a point of discussion as several other schools have fallen prey to burglars. Minister for Education Sean Edward on Monday explained that the Ministry of Education takes the safety of teachers and students very seriously, and discussions are ongoing to ensure a safe teaching and learning environment.
Last week, bandits descended on the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School and the Sir Ira Simmons Secondary School. The intruders escaped with computers and other devices. These 2 schools follow a string of other similar incidents at other schools across the island. Speaking before Parliament on Tuesday, Minister with responsibility for education, Sean Edward, said such attacks will not be tolerated nor dealt with lightly.
On our end at the Ministry of Education, I can tell you we are extremely disturbed by the trend. We have already engaged a consultant who will be doing a very thorough audit, security audit of the whole education sector, schools and educational institutions in general, with a view to making recommendations that we're looking to implement at the soonest, not just to prevent bandits from breaking into schools, but to create a much safer environment for teachers, principals, students, and all our stakeholders in education.
By his account, these school breakings and breaches are shocking and will be dealt with accordingly, as the bandits have shown no mercy on the island's educational institutions. President of the St. Lucia Teachers Union, Don Howell, back in May, made an impassioned appeal to the Ministry of Education to consider taking school safety and security a bit more seriously. Following this, the union requested a sit-down with the minister. According to the minister, the last requested meeting may not have taken place. However, he fully understands the union's stance and measures will be put in place.
We have quarterly meetings with the St. Lucia Teachers Union. They had expressed a few concerns, quite rightly so, about school safety. The day that the meeting was supposed to have been convened, I had been summoned to represent the government at another meeting involving an international with a representative of an international organization. My permanent secretary and other senior personnel of the ministry went to the meeting, but the union at the time felt that the minister should have been there. It wasn't possible. But we have had conversation. I basically support the position of the union that we have to take school security very seriously. And let me give the assurance here this morning that the Ministry of Education that I lead, we do take school security very, very seriously. And even before we can begin to think of imparting a curriculum or delivering quality instruction, the safety of the children is paramount. The safety of the teachers remains paramount.
Edwards says the ministry will stop at nothing to ensure a safe learning and teaching environment for students and staff to ensure quality education for the nation's children. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Still to come, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre justifies government's borrowing. Guy Joseph tells government just where to look for missing St. Jude's supplies. And the new COVID-19 variant, is there cause for concern?
The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News was brought to you by Flow.